Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube. I got myself a microphone because everyone said I was too quiet in my other video, so hopefully this fixes the audio. But basically my bus build from start to finish video went viral. It currently has over 1 million views and the comments were so kind and so supportive. But there were also a lot of questions, so I thought I would sit down and film a Q&A to answer everyone's questions. But let me show you Miley.
Hello. So she's 4 months old and she's doing pretty well. We're doing lots of training, but yeah, she's doing really well, and we are heading off to South and Western Australia in July. So we have a little bit of work to do here at home and then we're gonna head off. Miley, look at the camera. Look. Oh yeah, okay.
So the most common question I got by far was, how did I afford the build? Because in the video I mentioned I worked 4 jobs. So basically from the age of 15, I babysitted for 3 families. I tutored, I'd say 6 kids a week. I worked as a sailing instructor and I did social media for 3 people, not including my own social media. So I worked really, really hard from a young age. My family was really supportive in that they helped me literally, like as you would have seen my dad, he built the entire bus with me. But I'm one of 4 kids, so financially I knew that I had to pay for it all myself, and that's what I did. That's partially why the bus build took so long, not just because it was difficult, but because the day I bought the bus, I drained my entire savings because I didn't want any debt, so I only bought what I could afford, and then I would work in real life for a few months, and then I would go back to building the bus. So yeah, that's how I was able to afford it all. I wouldn't recommend working that many jobs. I was extremely burnt out, but it's just what I had to do to make it work. I think a lot of people questioned how I was able to afford it because I was so young, but just because someone's young doesn't mean they're not willing to work extremely hard for something that they want. So yeah. The second most common question was, where on earth is your bathroom? Why do you have such a big vehicle but no bathroom? So the answer is, I basically do have a bathroom. I have an outdoor shower which is hot, and I have a sink with hot water, and I have a toilet. So I basically do have a bathroom. But to answer the actual question, the reason I didn't put in a built-out bathroom inside with indoor shower, indoor toilet is because it is such a waste of time, money and space, in my opinion, for my lifestyle. When you live in a bus or a van, you are on tank water, which means you can put in a really fancy shower, but you're not going to be having a long shower anyway unless you're planning to refill your tanks all the time, which isn't always possible. Even though the bus is big, if you actually step inside the bus, it's not that big. At least if I had put in a bathroom, it would have closed the space off so much for a little bathroom that I would have been squished in anyway. So that's why I didn't put in a bathroom. I just go for a swim, go for a surf, and then I have a shower with my outdoor shower in my bathers. And then every now and then I'd go to a paid campground and have like a proper long shower and use their water. But also the bus has a weight limit, and having a bathroom with tiles would have sent that weight limit over the roof. Also, side note, my toilet I have not used once because when I was in Tassie, there were toilets everywhere. Even at the most basic of free camps, they have drop toilets. If you use your toilet, you have to clean it. And I do not want to clean a porta potty. I can't think of anything worse. So yeah, there's toilets literally everywhere. And at the end of the day, you're traveling, in my opinion, I'm traveling to see all these beautiful places, not to spend like ages in my bathroom every day. But each to their own, and I've seen some amazing bathrooms. What is my biggest regret? So I've thought about this a lot, and I don't have many regrets or things I would change. But if there's something I would change in the future, which I probably will, it would be getting a bigger inverter. So I have really great solar system, a lot of batteries. I love the system, but my inverter is only 2000 watts, which is quite a lot. However, off grid, I can power blender, whatever, fridge running the whole time, lights on, blender, charge my appliances, that's all good. But once I use an appliance that requires heat, such as a Thermomix on the heat setting or a toaster, the inverter trips and it can't handle that. Even though the appliances I use are under 2000 watts, it's just too much for the inverter. So in the future, I'll probably upgrade to a 3000 watt inverter just so I can use the Thermomix and actually cook in the Thermomix, not just use the blender function. But at the time, the reason I went with a 2000 watt inverter was because the solar system was already so expensive. It was $10,000, and at the time I was like, I can't put an extra few $1,000s on that because I literally couldn't afford it. So that's something I would change. That being said though, one thing I got that is so good is I have the ability to plug into shore power at a campground. So the electrician just put in a little plug, you can plug in, and shore power overrides the inverter. So when I'm at a campground, I can plug into shore power and I can use any appliances as I want, and the inverter won't trip because the shore power just overrides, and it's like being in a house. So I would definitely recommend getting a shore power connection. Miley's really snoring and I really hope you can't hear it. Okay, quick intermission. So that kind of leads into my next question, which is what are the top things I love in the bus? And the first one for sure is getting a gas stovetop and a gas hot water system. When I was in Tassie for 3 months, and before that I went away a few times and used the gas every single day, and it barely emptied one 4.5 kilo gas bottle, and they're not expensive to refill. Cooks so well, and the hot water system is instantaneous. It runs hot within 10 seconds and it's proper hot. And back to what I was saying about the inverter can't handle cooking with 40 degrees in the Thermomix. Imagine the inverter size I would have had to get to power an electric stovetop and an electric hot water system. It wouldn't have been able to handle it, so I'm so glad I got gas. Also, I love how big the kitchen is. That's always something I wanted, but I'm just so glad because people say you can never have enough storage, and that is so true. So I'm so glad I have all that cupboard space. Having a double bed, even though I'm traveling alone, it's just such a luxury, and now I can travel with people. My sister was obviously here and we just slept in the same bed. And definitely the full-size fridge with the freezer. So good for going off-grid. Stock it up. Don't need to go to a supermarket for weeks. Why do I not have an aircon? Again, the inverter / battery system I would have had to have to power an aircon would have been thousands more dollars. And when I was in Tassie, it was pretty hot. Like there were some days in the 30s, but most days were 25, 26. And during the day, yes, the bus gets hot. However, the point of bus life is to be outside. So I would just be outside all day at the beach, like I don't know, from midday till 5 o'clock. And by the time I got back, yes, the bus had heated up, but by the time the sun had set, the bus had cooled right down. I've got the Max Air fan, I've got my Sirocco fans for at night. I can open all the windows and it's perfectly fine. Also, a lot of people said, don't the windows let in so much heat? And the truth is they don't, because they are tinted. So the standard for coasters in Australia is that they're all tinted because they're normally used as school buses. So all of the side windows are tinted except for the passenger, driver and front windscreen. My curtains that I made are blackout curtains, and I have blackout window covers for the front as well, which keeps out the heat. So it's no problem without an aircon. Not to mention, aircon, $2,000. So was not in the budget. What is the fuel consumption of the bus? It sits at between 16 and 18 litres per 100 kilometres. So yeah, look, it is not a fuel efficient vehicle by any means, but at the end of the day, that's not why I bought this vehicle. I knew that the fuel consumption would be horrendous, but at the end of the day, it takes me to the most amazing places, and yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world. What are the running costs of the bus? So there is fuel, food, rego, insurance, and I think that's it, and gas. Those are the running costs. So yeah, there's no solar or electricity bills. There's no cost for water. In Australia, it's free to fill up on water, and the gas, like I was saying before, is super cheap, and I refill it like maybe every 6 months for both bottles, and I use gas every single day. It was a lot to build out the bus, but now the running costs are pretty low. Now for the most anticipated question, how much did it cost? So I'm not going to tell you the exact number purely because I don't want to be driving around Australia having people recognize me knowing how much my setup is worth, and that's the main reason why other people don't share the exact cost. What I will say is I know people with a coaster, not including the cost of the coaster, who did their whole fit out and it was beautiful for 15 grand. And I also have seen people do it for 150,000. The answer for mine is it sits somewhere in the middle of those two numbers. And the only reason I could afford it, truthfully, is because I worked so hard while building it out. That's the only reason. And the reason I worked so hard is because I did want the luxuries. I wanted the full-size fridge. I wanted as many cupboards as I could. More cupboards means more handles, which cost money. More, I wanted a white sink and a gold tap. Like, those things cost money. So the answer is, if you want whatever you want, you can afford it if you work. It just takes more time. That being said though, don't get hung up on the little things, because at the end of the day, this life is about traveling and seeing Australia. Spend money on the things that matter to you. So for me, it was fridge, kitchen, and within those things, it was having running hot water and a big sink and lots of kitchen space and having it look nice, right? Other people don't want that. They might want an aircon. They might want to power a TV when they're in bed at night, and they work towards those things. So don't get hung up on the little things. Towards the end, my budget, basically at the start, my budget was quite small because I had no money left. It then got increasingly bigger because I worked and put the bus bid on hold. So I was able to buy a bigger fridge. I was able to buy nice things for the kitchen. Towards the end, my budget was shrinking fast. My tap, I got it from Amazon. The floor was $30 per pack from Bunnings. I wanted beautiful laminate flooring that they had to have in the house, and the quote was $450. I was like, I can't do it. It's just a floor at the end of the day. I'm just gonna leave it. I wanted this dry flush toilet for $2,000. I got a porta potty for $100 because at the end of the day, I was like, it's a toilet and I've never used it. Right? The table, I really wanted a nice tabletop. My dad was like, oh, we could probably make one. Like, I can oil it, whatever. We went to Bunnings. There were these timber bench tops for sale for $40. And I was like, you know what? Let's just get that, cut it, and stick it on. And that's what we did. And at the end of the day, it's a table. Like, it's not a big deal. Spend money on the things that matter. Whatever budget you have, you can make it work. And I don't know, I think what I kind of live by is like, have your vision and then just work to that vision, right? I didn't have the money and then I bought the bus and built it out fully. I just had the dream and then I worked towards that. So if you have that kind of mentality, I feel like you can really afford anything you want. That's my opinion. Would I change anything about the design and the layout of the bus? The answer is yes and no. No, I wouldn't change anything currently, but Miley doesn't really have any space, and I recently saw this video of a van life couple and they cut out this like little nook under their bed for their dog and cat, and I wish I did something like that, because currently like her crate's in the hallway. When I travel, I obviously pack the crate away, and her bed's in the hallway as well, so she's just kind of doesn't really have her own little space, which is fine. She'll be outside mostly anywhere when we travel, but I do wish like I had built like a little nook for her. Sorry. But as you can see, she's fine. Say something. Go to sleep. What was the hardest part about the bus build? Two things. First of all, the lack of visual progress. That personally took a really big mental toll on me. Like, by the time I had the gas installed, we'd cut holes in the roof to install the skylight and the air fans, and I'd spent a lot of money because I had to pay someone to do the gas because I obviously couldn't do it, and that drove me crazy because I'd put money into the bus, I was paying for insurance, I was paying for rego, and it was sitting in the driveway and it looks like a bomb had hit. Like, I was embarrassed. People would say like, can I see the bus? And I was like, no, you cannot see the bus. It looks horrific. That was the first thing. And the second thing was staying under the weight limit. Not that that was hard, but just like it was always in the back of my mind and I was always stressed. Like, we put the kitchen in and the kitchen was incredible. And then I thought to myself, oh, what if it's overweight? Like, what if I can't finish the build? And the reason that was such a massive struggle for me was because in Australia, if you keep your vehicle under 4.5 tons, you can drive it on a car license. If not, you need to upgrade the GBM and get a heavy vehicle license, which, you know, people are like, oh, just get your heavy vehicle license, but I can't because I'm so young that I would need to get an exemption, and you're not going to get the exemption basically because I'm on my green P plate still. So those were the two hardest things. What is my biggest advice for someone wanting to undertake a similar project? My first advice would be find a vehicle that is suited to what you want. You don't need to have a bus. You can have a van. At the same time, if you think a van is too small, then get a bigger vehicle. Make it suited to your lifestyle, because at the end of the day, you're going to be living in it every single day. And I think, although, you know, I always say like the bus build took so long, it was so difficult, it had to take so long to make it what I wanted. And now that I live in it, I love it, and there's nothing I would change. Whereas if I had, you know, I think I mentioned this a long time ago, it took me 8 months to find this bus on the market. And yeah, I definitely could have bought a Sprinter or a Hiace, you know, within 2 months, but I would not have been happy and I would not have enjoyed it. So that's my first thing. And my second thing is start before you have a plan. If you wait for all the right reasons, if you wait to have the money saved, you will never get it done. Like I said before, the day that I had my vehicle, I had $0, okay? but it's fine. You just work, you figure it out as you go, and you make it happen. Whereas if you, like, a lot of people commented saying, like, I wish I could do what you did, but I don't have the money. Nobody has the money unless you're literally, I don't know, retired and have all this money in the bank. No one's got the money, right? Just do it. Buy the vehicle and just start doing it. If it sits in the shed for 2 months while you work heaps of jobs like I did, it's fine, because the day that you step back in with a bit of money saved is the best day ever, and your dream will come to fruition. So just start. That's my advice. Am I worried about traveling alone as a girl? Yes and no. When I was in Tassie, I felt so safe. My family was there for a few weeks and my friend came for 1 week. But the time that I was on my own, literally driving around Tassie, went everywhere, I did not feel unsafe once, even at night time. Like, obviously I never really went out of the bus at night. Like, I just stayed in the bus as soon as the sun set. But I just felt safe. The travel community in Australia is so genuine and so giving and supportive, and a few people did talk to me, mainly older couples. They talked to me and asked about the bus, but no one ever made me feel uncomfortable, or I never was in a weird situation. And if I did feel a little bit off, I just trusted my gut feeling and I would just leave. But that's the other good thing about the bus and not towing a caravan at my age, is I can literally get out of my bed at night and go to the driver's seat and drive away. But the answer is no, I've never felt unsafe. And the only thing I think that's hard being on my own, which is now probably going to be fixed because I have Miley, is I was honestly bored. It's not that I was lonely. I was definitely lonely at times, but it was sitting on the most beautiful crystal clear water beaches and being this is kind of boring, because I just had no one. But I think boredom is really good and it sparks creativity. But I think that's the main thing. I was just a little bit lonely and a little bit bored, but I never felt unsafe. So don't let people, this is just a side note, I've met so many adults and I tell them, oh, I'm not at uni, I built out a bus, I'm traveling Australia, and they go, stay safe out there. It's very dangerous out there for a young girl like you. Do not listen to that rubbish. Obviously have some pepper spray or whatever. You're not allowed pepper spray in Australia, but have some, things to protect you. But do not listen to that. It will just keep your world so small and it will just keep you stuck in the same place. Just go out there, see the world, be sensible, be smart, and you will have the time of your life. Also, I have a dog now, which makes me feel so much safer because she's very small right now, but she's growing rapidly and she will be a big dog, and she has protective instincts. Her bark right now, it's a loud bark. Would I do it all again if I had to? Yes, I would. It was all worth it. There's nothing I would change in the bus, and I love it. It's taken me to the most beautiful places. I leave, in 1.5 months, and it's going to be incredible. That being said, will I ever do this again? No, because it took everything. It took my entire heart, my entire soul, because it was so hard. I was so burnt out from trying to make it work, which it was worth it in the end, but I will never do it again. But that's mostly also because I have the bus and it's perfect. But I hope everyone undertakes a project of this complexity at least once in their life, because it taught me so many life lessons. Obviously I didn't go to uni, and I will say it every single day of my life, I learned so much more from this project than I ever would have going to uni. I learned so much about myself and about other people, but when I started the bus build, I was the most shy, introverted person you ever meet. I would not call anyone on the phone. My mum would have to make my appointments for me. I would not talk to anyone. With the bus build, I had to call hundreds of people to get quotes, to ask for help, to outsource, and now I'm the most confident person because of that, having to do that, having to build it out, having to go into Bunnings and ask for advice and try to explain it to people. It's just, I learned so much about myself and I grew so much as a person. Driving the bus, people who know me in real life know I'm 5'2" and I drive this massive bus around, and it's done wonders for my confidence. So I would do it again. This one was kind of unrelated. How do I make money traveling? I'm back in Melbourne, so I'm working a little bit and I'm gonna have savings, but I'm very fortunate that my bus build start to finish video, the one this is based on, got me monetized, and I'm now earning money off YouTube. So I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I'm just gonna vlog, document my travels, and hopefully that'll pay the bills for a long time. So thank you so much for the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. There will be a lot more, and if there's any questions I didn't answer, because there were literally hundreds, just comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.
One last Miley feature. Okay. One last time. Oh.